Welcome to the Sustar Show, where we talk about how to build wealth without having to quit your job, without not being busy, and living a normal life. How the everyday average person can create the life of their dreams without having to sacrifice everything that they love. I'm excited to hang out with y'all today. I am coming live from Anderson, South Carolina, and it's big time here in Anderson, South Carolina this week. Why? Because we're supposed to get snow in 2 days. We never get snow. And I know most people are like, bro, we don't want snow. If you live in the Midwest or you live in the Northeast, here in Anderson, we absolutely love snow. And we can't wait to get it. So I hope I'm using a new software today. You guys will have to forgive me. Brand new software. I'm hoping it goes good. If not, tell me in the chat. I can see you guys chat. But I had a question come through to me recently. And somebody said, how much money do I need? Like, what should I be striving for? I'm a younger person. I have a decent job. What should I be striving for when it comes to how much income should I have? What should my assets be producing for me? And I've thought a lot about this over the years because I believe a lot of people just like throw a number out into the wind. Like, I want $10,000 per month, or I want $20,000, or I want to be wealthy. I want $100,000 per month coming in on income. And I would tell you that the best thing that you can do, and I have sought wisdom for this over the years, of how do I know when enough is enough? What am I striving for? And I think when we look and say, okay, what do we need? What do we to really live a good life? I think you have to look and say, okay, we got to have our necessities covered, right? So our food, gas, home, all that good stuff. We should strive to be able to cover that through our investments with our assets. But then we got to take it a step further and say, how do we continue to build wealth so that our assets can pay for the things that fulfill us in life? And this is where I think a lot of people go wrong, is because I think that many folks look for fulfillment in the wrong areas. And so people think that they're going to get fulfillment from the new car or the new house or the next purchase or the next material thing. And unfortunately, those lead to emptiness. They don't lead to happiness. They don't lead to fulfillment. And so what happens is people get caught in this cycle of chasing the next high. They're chasing the next dopamine hit. I mean, how many of you have ever wanted something so badly? Oftentimes, like, it's a new car. So I personally haven't bought a new car in years. Our newest car at our house is a 2019. But a lot of people, it's a new car. Maybe it's a boat or an ATV. And you're so excited about it. You just think this is going to give me everything I've ever wanted. You make the purchase. And then a few weeks later, how do you feel about it? It starts to become the norm. It wears itself off. And so I've been through this personally with things in my life. And then I have sought wisdom from folks who have way older than me. I just got off a podcast with a man who's 62 years old. And we were having this same conversation. He said, Jaren, what makes you tick? How do you know how much money you need? How did you know what enough is? What do you want every day to look like? And I said, it's funny you asked, Mark. I have started gratitude journaling. So I'm like a guy who's opposed all that. I don't need to write down no gratitude journal, right? But I was like, you know what? I bought a thing called the 5-minute journal, and it's been amazing. I spend 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night. And it asks for, at the end of every day, the highlight of your day. And so I went back and I started reading the highlights of each of my day. And I wanted to get a theme. And here are the 4 biggest highlights that showed up more than anything else. These are the things that just made I got to the end of the day. I'm sitting in my recliner at night, getting ready to go to bed. They fulfilled me the most. Number 1 was breakfast with my family. Getting up, us cooking eggs, bacon, having an apple, whatever the case may be, chocolate chip pancakes, whatever we did that day, breakfast with the family. Number 2 is working out with my buddies at the YMCA, at the CrossFit YMCA, where I go for an hour and a half to 2 hours every day. Number 3 were my kids' sports games and practices. I absolutely love doing it. Number 4 was date night with my wife. These are all the things. And I have been blessed over the last however many years, 3 to 5 years, to be able to do some pretty darn cool stuff. right? I get to go speak at a lot of places. I get to travel a lot of places. But day in and day out, the things that make me, when I have a bad day, it's because I'm not doing these things. And then if we went down the list a little bit farther, it is pickleball with my friends or having lunch with a buddy. Nowhere does it say, a Lamborghini that I purchased or the best house that I've always wanted or, whatever the case may be. So I think you need to ask yourself, why do I want the amount of money that I have? Or why do I want the amount of money that I'm striving for? Because I think if we don't set goals, if we don't know what we're setting out to achieve, then we're never going to be able to achieve it. And we're not going to be able to put a process in place to get to where we want to go. And so I'd encourage you to sit and think, what do I want with my life? What is the purpose of wanting more? If you follow my account, if you follow me for any time, it's probably because you resonate with my story. I'm a regular dude from the middle of nowhere, South Carolina, raised in a modest home. My dad's a pastor and went to college, played baseball as my whole dream, came out of college with over $65,000 in student loan debt. Then I had to go buy a jacked up truck because I'm from South Carolina. That was another $25,000. My wife's engagement ring, $2,500, and then another 10 to 15 a credit card. And so here I am, 22 years old, 22, 23 years old, and I have over $100,000 in debt, and I'm making less than $50,000 a year working a service job driving a box truck around. I think that would be considered behind the 8 ball to start, right? Everybody agree with that? I was behind the 8 ball to start. And I could have said, you know what? This is the status quo. This is what I'm going to be. But I was like, no, let's do something different. And so when I set out, I said, what am I trying to accomplish? I was real young at the time. I mean, this has been a decade now. I was real young at the time. And I just remember setting out and it was like, what am I trying to do? Like I want more in life. I want to get ahead. I make all this money. What am I trying to do? And so for me, it was the opportunity to wake up every day and decide what my day looks like. Now, spoiler alert, I have made it to that point, but at no point do you actually get to choose 100% what your entire day looks like. Sorry to break it to you. If you're married, guess who's going to tell you sometimes what your day is going to look like? Your significant other. If you have children, guess who's going to dictate where you're going and when you're going to be there? Your children. If you do investments, your customers are going to dictate, where you go, like your contractors or the property you're working for. So there's never this complete control. We don't have complete control. I hate to break it to you. If you're a control freak, kind of like I am, you don't have complete control. There's a higher being that created all of us, and we're a very small piece. Like right now on the earth, there's 7 to 8 billion people. I kind of think about that sometimes because it puts it into perspective for me. I'm not that important. You're not that important. There are 7 to 8 billion people on this planet right now. Think about how many people have lived since the existence of planet Earth. You mean nothing. And your wealth in the grand scheme of things means nothing. Your impact in the grand scheme of things, they're really the only things that matter is that you love God and that you love people. Everything else is fleeting and it's going to pass away. So you better get that through your mind because that's going to help you along this journey. And so I think we have to understand and have that perspective of we don't act flippantly because of that, but we really need to understand that we don't have a very long time on here. And so on earth. And so we need to do the things that fulfill us and that we're set out to do. And so if you're one of those folks who's like, bro, I just want to be so rich, $100,000 a month, $200,000, make millions per year, do it. Kudos. But you better understand why you're doing what you're doing. And the thing that you're doing, you better have passion for it. Real estate for me, I am passionate about real estate. I love it. So it doesn't drain me when I do real estate deals. I love looking for deals. I love finding the next deals. I love taking a property that's very ugly, making it pretty, and then giving somebody else a place to live. Whether they're renting from me because they can't buy it because the system doesn't allow them to, or whether they're buying one of my flips. I absolutely love doing real estate. But there's been endeavors in my life that I've jumped into that drain me. I didn't love. I didn't have passion. And you have to be careful of those because if you do those just for the sake of making $1, you're going to live a very miserable life. Everybody wants to talk about escaping the rat race. Okay. I think escaping the rat race is being able to do things that you love. It's not doing anything. It's not doing anything. You're never not going to do anything. We were literally created to work. You guys understand that? We were created to work. So you can have all the money in the world. You are going to do something. So this whole thought process of I just can't wait to have enough so I don't ever have to do anything. Throw that out the window. You're always going to be doing something. The goal should be, how can I get to a point to where I can choose what I want to do, but also be passionate about the things I'm doing up until. And now I'm a realist. I understand that every job that we have in our life isn't going to be the dream job. We're not going to absolutely love what we're doing for our customers, but how do we find a way to impact the lives of those around us? How can we create fulfillment every day with the lot that we're giving? How can we plant where we grow? Because what happens is so many people try to escape. They live in this escape mentality. I got to get out of my W-2 job. I got to get this. If I can just have enough assets, blah, blah, blah. And they miss the entire purpose of life, because the gold is found in the journey. The journey of life is where you learn things, where you create relationships. It's where all the gold nuggets that help you grow to the next level are taken into your brain. And if you're living that stressed out, you're living that burnout, and all you have is your mindset on the end desire without taking in all the things that are there along the way, then you're going to look back and you're going to have wasted 5 years. You're going to have wasted a decade. You're going to have wasted 20 years. Or worst of all, you're going to have wasted an entire lifetime chasing a goal that's not even achievable. Because I can tell you, if it's just a money goal, it's fleeting. There was a story of this wealthy man who he's like a billionaire. And somebody said, whatever his name is, hey, John, how much money's enough for you? You know what he said? He said, when I get just a little bit more. And that is this game. And I think that's why when you look at biblical principles, they say the love of money is the root of all evil, because I think it draws your attention away from the things that really matter in life. If you say on social media enough, you'll find these folks who talk about, get rid of your friend group. If they don't want to level up like you, cut people out of your life who don't want to, who don't want more, who don't want to make more, who don't want to build businesses, who don't want to buy assets, who don't want to do this, don't want to do that. Do you understand how ignorant that is? Every person who's saying that, I don't care if they have 2 million followers or 20 million followers, they are lonely and they're empty inside. All we have in this life is our relationship. So now if you got a toxic relationship, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you literally blowing people off or thinking you're better than somebody because you are making more money than them, or you're striving to make more money than them, or you're striving to buy assets and it's not a desire of theirs. So we're going to kick them to the curb. What? Who are you? Do you think you're something? Because I'm a go-getter? Good for you. I applaud you for doing that. But don't let it make you become so conceited to where you cut people out of your life. That's asinine. You're literally going to live a lonely life. And it happens all the time. People isolate themselves to build. Okay? When in reality, if we're going to build something that's sustaining, we have to put people around us and put a community around us. People love us, and it takes all types of people. It takes our friends who don't care to do what we're doing. We still spend time with them. We love them, have a relationship with them, pour into their lives, help them. They can still help us, give us different perspectives. We need people who can help us build our business. We need people who can help us build our real estate portfolios. We need people who can help us understand what life's really about and get grounded. I mean, there's all different types of things. And so I think that we have to really pay attention to the relationships in life and the community in life. It's interesting. I've taken a liking to psychology and neuroscience lately, and I'm not a scientific dude at all, but I have been all in on some neuroscience. I got like 6 different textbooks I'm reading through, and it just keeps going back. The same theme keeps going back for happiness in life. It is people who spend a lot of time around other people, like they're in community with other people. Literally, they could go Google it, go fact check me. The people who are happiest in life are the ones who live in community with other people. And a lot of folks like myself, like you listening to this, people that are driven, can end up being lone wolves sometimes because you're set out on a mission. You don't really want to tell everybody what you're doing because you don't want to disappoint people, or you don't want to not, you know, uh, have success and fail and people look at you different. Well, we got to change that. If you're going to build anything that's going to last, from relationships to businesses to assets, we got to have people in our corner who we love and who love us. And any team is better than an individual. Any team is going to be better than an individual at all times. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about, okay, what do I do with life? What are the decisions I'm wanting to make? What are the things I'm wanting to do? Trying to escape the rat race, guys. Keep the perspective in order to keep the main things. So real estate wise, I want to switch topics a little bit, talk about real estate in 2025 because it's been on my mind. I made a podcast about this on the Rich Dad Real Estate Show last week. And I think that for those of you who are in a position to buy real estate as an investment in 2025, it's a really, really good time. So here's why I think that. All right. And number one, you need to be in a good position to buy real estate. I don't want just anybody buying real estate. You need to have your finances in order. You need to be making good income. You don't need to be living paycheck to paycheck. You do not need to be drowning in debt. Okay. But if you have a good income coming in, you get a good household income, you're like, dude, we're making good money. We just need a place to put it. Real estate's gonna be your place. And 2025 is one of the best places. Here's why. If we look at data, in 2024, we had the least amount of homes sold in the United States since 1995. What is that? To 15, that's 30 years, almost 30 years. So the least number of homes were sold in the United States last year than in the past 30 years. That's a huge statistic. Why? Because it means the market slowed down. What happens when the market slows down? There's not as much demand from buyers. Well, the prices are going to drop, and that's what we've seen. So there for a while, real estate was in a frenzy. Prices were going crazy. A house would sell within a couple hours to 2 days, 3 days tops. Well, today we're seeing homes sit 30, 45, 60 days. And so what's that doing? Well, it's bringing the prices down. It's softening the market, okay? And so this is a very tricky time if you haven't been in real estate, because real estate's not popular right now because it's not going up in value. It's not blowing up. Prices went up for a little bit. Rates have been up, right? They're going to start coming back down here in the next year. But it's not popular to buy real estate. It was very popular to buy real estate in 2021 and 2022. Everybody was doing it. I mean, look at all the Airbnbs that were purchased, and now people are selling them because they have no idea how to do it. And so the problem is the masses, the people who've been wanting to do something for a while, but they hadn't, but then they see everybody else doing it. They jumped in when it was hot. Well, now it's cold, quote unquote. Guys, I got news for you. When everybody else is kind of scared and not diving into this asset class and it's cold, you know what you need to do? You need to go buy real estate. So that is my charge to you in 2025. Buy real estate. The market's taking a hit, not in a super negative way, but in a positive way for investors. Prices are coming down. Homes are sitting longer. So even on Zillow, we bought a property on Zillow, okay, just to put things in perspective. You don't have to do the mailers. You don't have to cold call. You don't have to do all these things. Just look on Zillow. We looked at the property. It was listed for $380,000. Okay, it was too expensive. We needed to get it at $250,000. We sat and watched it, and I think 2 months later, it dropped to $300,000. Well, we didn't make an offer at $380,000 because we needed it at $250,000. Well, it dropped at $300,000. We called and we made an offer at $250,000. What do you think they said? Yes, they accepted our offer. Literally shot our shot and got it. So this is a property that was listed at $380,000. We got it for $250,000, excuse me. So that's $130,000 less than asking. Okay, so my encouragement to y'all is you can still find deals that are listed on the market. Don't worry about what they list them at. Okay, you just worry about running your numbers and knowing what you need to get those deals at, and then you make the offer at the numbers that you need. And maybe they accept, maybe they don't. But it's a volume game. We've got to get the offers out there because a lot of people are going to tell us no. So we keep getting those no's until we hit that yes. And we hit that yes on this particular property. Bought it for $250,000. We rehabbed it for $90,000. So we're on at $340,000. We listed it at $399,000, so right at $400,000, and got a full asking offer, and we closed on it. Because we made the house really, really nice in a desirable area. We had a gross profit of 60. Take all the fees out of that, I think we sat with a net profit of just under 40K. It's a pretty good deal, right? It's not a grand slam to make a 6 figures on that flip, but a 40K flip. Anybody okay with $40,000 flip? I am. You give me 2, 3, 4 of those a year. Talk about some extra spending money. This new kitchen that my wife is absolutely hounding me about. Don't nobody tell her I said that. We'll be able to do the new kitchen because of the flips that we're working on. But I say that to say houses are still, I think the point I'm trying to make is houses are getting listed. Like people are still trying to live like it's 2015, or excuse me, my brain's not working, 2022, right? 2021, 22. They're still throwing these crazy prices up there. Like they can still get it, but they're not, and they're sitting longer. Okay, and so you'll see, go pull up Zillow today in your area. You're going to see a lot of houses that the price has dropped. Well, the price still may not be showing where you need it. That's okay. Make an offer at what makes sense for you. Don't be scared to do that. And so we've continued to see this softening in 2025. It's going to carry on, or in 2024, it's going to carry on into 2025. And then as rates start to drop, then you will see activity in the market pick back up, but it's going to be gradual. And so we're looking at an entire year and a half of this slower market. Well, it's longer than that because it's been happening in 2024, but I think all of 2025 and at least halfway into 2026 is literally prime time for investors because the market has softened. There's still not going to be a ton of activity, but rates are going to start coming down, which is only going to help our cash flow for flipping. I don't want to say who cares about rates because it does help you on the back end sale, but if you flip good properties in good areas, you can sell them right now. Anyway, from an investor standpoint, there are lots of folks who need to get rid of properties and they're going to have to sell them at a discount. And so we need to be primed and ready to take advantage of that. So how do we do that? Well, number one, we got to know what we're looking for. We got to understand the areas that we're looking for. Okay. We want to be in those B-class neighborhoods. So it's not the worst part of town, not the best part of town, somewhere in the middle where there's the working class or there's the elderly who's moving out. Look, the greatest generational transfer of wealth that we've ever seen, literally ever seen in the existence of humanity is happening right now with the baby boomers transitioning their wealth to us who are younger. So I believe baby boomers are going to sell over 9 million homes in the next 8 to 9 years. Well, who do you think own, no offense, baby boomers, all the ugly, outdated homes that us investors want to buy? The baby boomers, right? And so there's a huge opportunity to take those off of their hands. They're going to have to move into assisted living, or they're going to have to move with their families, or their families, their children are going to take over the houses and they're not going to want them. And so they're going to want to get rid of. I can't tell you the number of houses I bought or children inheriting a house. Say, we don't want this. We don't want to fix it up. It's too much. What will you give us for it? Right. And so we got to be able to pull the trigger on those. We've got to know where we're going to buy. And then we've got to know what we're looking for, which is just distressed properties, oftentimes vacant. Doesn't always have to be vacant, but ugly homes in a decent area. It's very simple, guys. Go find the ugliest homes in a decent area. I was literally driving to the office this morning, and I looked to the right. I drive this road. I mean, I've driven this road. I've lived in this town all of my life except for like 10 years, okay? And I just happened to look to the right, and it's this old brick ranch home that's outdated. The roofs, like the soffit stuff, is completely fallen off. Haven't been updated. The yard looks terrible. And I just marked it down. I use Deal Machine on my app. And when I get off of here today and I go to lunch, I'm going to use Deal Machine. I'm going to click on that person's property. It's going to tell me the phone number of the owner. I'm going to call them. I'll say, hey, this is Jaren. I live in the area. I was on the way to work this morning and saw your house. And I didn't know if you'd be interested in selling. I buy houses and, fix them up and either keep them as a rental or sell them to somebody who needs a home. And they're going to say yes, no, or maybe. Okay. If they say yes, it'll be great. Can I come by? If they say maybe, great. Can I come by? If they say no, I'm going to say, okay, thank you. If you don't mind, I'm going to reach out every so often. I promise not to bug you just in case you ever do want to sell. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on Deal Machine again. And I'm going to start sending mailers to them through the mail. It costs 62 cents. And I'm going to send one every 30 days. Just, hey, this is Jaren. Called you, a few months ago. Wanted to see if you're ready to sell your house yet. And I'm also going to put a reminder. I don't even do anything fancy. You can get all these CRMs and all these fancy websites. I'm going to go into my calendar right here, and I'm going to type in call, whatever the address is, 2517 Midway. and see if they're ready to sell yet, right? And that's literally what I'm going to do. And eventually they will sell to me, right? And it may be 6 months from now. It may be a year from now. It may be 5 years from now. But I'm going to get that deal. And so I would encourage you guys to start setting processes like this up in your neck of the woods, because it's going to be a fantastic year. Just buy, if you don't hear anything I say today, and you're in a financial position, go make sure that you strive hard to buy real estate this year. If you've never done it before, there's no more excuses. This is the year that you go and you buy real estate, okay? Because there's discounts on properties. The market's softening. It softened in 24. It's going to soften more in 25. Rates are going to start coming down. Then we're going to start seeing a gradual pickup in buying again. Because what happened is everybody got locked in. Like, I'm locked in at like a 3% rate on my personal home. I'm not going anywhere. So a lot of people got locked in at these lower rates, but many people were in starter homes. They're ready to move, but they can't justify moving and leaving a 3% rate or a 4% rate to pay 7% because they're going to not be able to get that much house. So as these rates start to drop, and we're not going to see the 2-3% again, not for a very long time, maybe never again in our lifetime, but we will see, in my opinion, upper 4s or 5s, somewhere in that ballpark. Well, that's manageable debt. That's healthy for the economy, and that's healthy for the consumer. And so as those rates start to drop into that ballpark, all these people who've been sitting on these 3 or 4% rates, they've been antsy, right? The consumerism, the media is going to start picking up on real estate booming again. All your social media people that you follow are going to talk about real estate's picking up again. Now's a great time to get into real estate. And you're going to see the market start picking up. And you can ride that appreciation up if you buy now. You can't, everybody says, well, you got lucky. You bought at the right time, right? Well, you can't get lucky if you don't play the game. That's my saying. You can't get lucky if you don't play the game. So you want to be lucky in 2027 and 2028 and 2030? Well, then you need to buy in 2025. You missed 24. You missed 23. You missed 2018, 15, 08, 09. What we all like to buy right after 08, 09, right? Some of us weren't old enough. Others didn't have money. Other of us were just scared to buy real estate, and you're still scared and you still haven't bought it. Don't let 2025 be like that. It'll absolutely change your life. And I think it's a fantastic time. It really is. One of the downsides, because I want to be real with you guys, to buying real estate right now from a buy and hold perspective are the rates. Okay. So when we look at buying a property and keeping it as a rental, the rates are making it pretty hard on us because they're higher. So what happens when we have higher rates? Well, it eats into our cash flow. And so we have to understand that when we buy rentals right now, we're taking a pretty darn big hit on cash flow. So it was very hard to buy rentals the last, call it, well, not necessarily in 24, but 22 and 23, because the prices had gone so high and the rates had gone so high. So there were still deals I was buying. A lot of people I know were buying. They were just fewer and far between. Well, now we're at this place in the market to where prices are softening. So we can get good deals on the price side of things. Rates are still up. And so you're going to see when you run your numbers, houses that may would have cash flowed, $300, $400, $500 a few years ago before the boom after COVID, now are break even, or maybe it's $50 a month, right? And there's not a lot of cash flow there. And so here's my take on cash flow. Cash flow is a defensive metric. So it's a good buzzword to get views and talk on social media. People think that cash flow is king. Cash is king. Having money is king. Cash flow is defensive. Cash flow is something that is in place to protect you and your properties should something go wrong. But real wealth, listen to me, I'm telling you guys, speaking from experience, speaking from interviewing hundreds upon hundreds of investors, just got off an interview with one that's 62 years old. Okay, been doing this a long time. He said the same thing. Your wealth comes from buying property, and over time, that property going up in value over time, and tenants paying down your debt, that spread, right, is your equity spread. That's your net worth. That's where wealth comes from. The cash flow that you're getting is not going to be where your wealth comes from. Okay. Now, will cash flow go up over time? Absolutely. If we look at rents over the last, 100 years, they pretty much only go up. So that's my point is we got to go into this and say, okay, we know cash flow is going to get hammered because of rates right now. All right. Well, Jaren's telling me that cash flow isn't the wealth builder anyway. It's just a protective measure. So we may not have to absolutely crush it on the cash flow, especially if we have capital elsewhere, like in stocks or in savings that can cover us if we have a bad experience. If a water heater goes out or HVAC goes out, right? We have that. So we have to go in and say, okay, no, we're not going to crush it on cash flow, but it's going to get better over time because rents are going to go up, but we're going to miss out on all that equity if we don't pull the trigger. And that's where time gets you. Okay. That's where you lose a lot of opportunity costs when you keep waiting. And that's why somebody like myself, I keep preaching, get into the game, buy real estate, buy real estate, buy real estate. Y'all think I'm just like hollering it for no reason. I've just done it long enough to know the sooner you get in, the quicker you start gaining that appreciation while tenants are paying down your debt. And then when you own it and you've owned it for years and you just had steady growth, right? We're growing 3 to 5% on appreciation, tenants are paying down debt, rent's going up a couple percent every year. And then all of a sudden you have a scenario, God forbid, not like COVID again, but you have an economic scenario where we hit a quick boom. Guess what? You were a genius. The only way you can be a genius and get lucky is by buying when everybody else is scared. And so I hope this is making sense for you guys and encouraging you to say, all right, you know what? I'm going to go out and I'm going to make it happen. If you're in a good financial position, I can't stress that enough. Don't go buying real estate if you're broke. Budget, cut your expenses, pay off your bad debt, increase your income. You don't deserve, you haven't paid your dues. You're not disciplined enough to get into the real estate game if you can't do those 4 things I just said. All right. So if you are disciplined enough and you've got a high income, you've got low or minimal debt, you've got an emergency fund in place, you know where your money's going every month, you have no excuse to not add this asset to your portfolio in 2025. Okay. And you may live in an area that it's very, very hard to do rentals. That's okay. Let's look and work together to find an area that does make sense for rentals. But in the meantime, a lot of markets in the US, even the expensive ones, make a lot of sense for flips. And right now is a very, very, very good flip market. I have seen, if you do the property right, okay, what I have seen from a flip market perspective right now is if you're doing kind of half A flips, they're not that great. They're not in that good part of town. They're in a C- neighborhood. Maybe throw some LVP floor down. You keep it real cheap. Those are sitting a long time. But all the flips that we've done to where they're in the B class neighborhoods and we're making them nice, people are buying. And so if you can find those neighborhoods close to you in a neighboring town, or you got somebody in your network, or you work with somebody like our team who already has those networks built out for you, and you can go and land those deals, there's a good opportunity to make some income. And the big thing between flips and rentals is flips create income for you now. So like, let's say you're trying to make 6 figures. Flips are going to be the way to do that immediately. You're not going to do that off of rental property. It's just not going to happen. And so you can go do, I think the average flip profit in the US, somebody Google me and fact check me, is $30,000. So you could go do 4 flips a year, 1 a quarter. That's 120K gross. Or if you did, that's profit. So that's a 120K profit. That's statistically in the US, 30K profit per flip. You do 4 of them, it puts you at 120K. It's an extra 6 figures a year, right? And you can do that. It's a very viable option to be able to do that. And then, to build wealth in the long run, we have to add rentals to our portfolio. The way I did my portfolio is I started from like in the future. So I said, I want to set myself up when I'm 70, when I'm 60, when I'm 50. Right. And that's how my brain worked. I said, okay, I'm 30 when I started buying all these, right? Or I was 27 when I bought my first one, but close enough to 30 for easy math. I said in 20 years, if I put these on 20-year notes, these are on 20-year amortizations, by the time I'm 50, they're all paid off, right? So my 50s are golden. My 60s are real golden. If I hopefully have healthy 70s, they're real golden, right? And then we've worked back since then. All right, how can we continue to add properties and make strategic moves and investments that are going to affect our 40s? And then how do we affect our today, right? And a lot of people affecting the today is keeping your job. Everybody wants to be like, quit your job. Don't quit your job. Keep your job. Use that income and go buy real estate, right? And if you're trying to affect how much money you have coming today, we want to flip. You want to flip. And we want to sprinkle in rentals as we go too, because those are going to be Those are what's going to set us free in the future. But those flips are going to give us that extra income now to then go and buy those rentals, or, to go and invest in, different opportunities that arise from networking with people in this high income industry. So 2025 is a great year. Make sure you just know why you're doing it. Like I mentioned earlier, look, we don't need all this money just to have all this money. What things make you tick? What things fulfill you? Write those down. Decide how much money it takes for you to do those things. And then if you're in a financial position, dive all into real estate here in 2025, because it's going to be one of the best years and from the investor side. Listen, I've already said this, 95, we've had the least amount of homes sold in 2024 since 1995. I mean, that's the least amount of homes sold in 3 decades. It just hit me to say that again. Wrap your mind around that. What does that mean? Pretty much there's only one way to go, is up. More houses are going to sell as we progress. It's still going to be slow in 25, and I think it's going to be slow starting in 26, but it is going to pick up. Listen, real estate goes like this, but it goes like this on a graph that raises over time. And we have been kind of here, and now it's coming right here, right? And it's a great time to buy, and I hope you guys do it. Thanks for tuning into the show today. Hope to see you guys next time, and I appreciate it. See you guys later.